Hello and welcome to Adventures in Nonfiction. My name is Miss Rachel, and today I'd like to introduce you to a book called Exploring the Elements, a complete guide to the periodic table, written by Isabel Thomas and illustrated by Sarah Gillingham. This book will introduce you to the 92 elements that make up everything in the known universe. It will also help you begin to understand and work with the periodic table of the elements, an important tool for many kinds of science. If you are interested in medicine, geology, environmental science, space exploration, or just want to learn some fun facts about the world around us, I would recommend this book to you. The main body of the book is divided into 11 sections. One for each of the 11 categories of elements identified in the introduction. I thought it might be more fun to look closely at one of the elements explored in this book. Again, there are 92, and we can see all of the elements arrayed on the periodic table. Opening the book at random, we get thallium. This graphic shows where our element is located on the periodic table. It's here in a category called post-transition metal. Here we can see what its atomic number is, 81, and its symbol, TL. This graphic here shows us, or gives us a peek inside the thallium atom. Atoms are tiny particles, so every element is made up of a single type of atom. So thallium element is made up of thallium atoms. A thallium atom is made up of three even smaller particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons and neutrons are all grouped together in the center of the atom, which we call the nucleus. The electrons, which are in pink here, I don't know if you can see around my finger, they are the small particles that orbit around the nucleus. And the reason that thallium has the atomic number of 81 is because it has 81 protons and 81 electrons. So let's see what our book has to say about thallium. Thallium is most famous for being a deadly poison, but it's also used to make special types of glass in which the element is safely locked away. Key properties: it's a solid, silvery blue metal, very soft and melts easily. Where it's found: inside minerals, sylvite and pyrite. I actually have a little piece of pyrite in my mineral collection. It's found in coal, it's found in soil, and it's found in plants. Trace elements of thallium are found in the human body. All about thallium. Thallium is very dangerous because our bodies mistake it for useful potassium, see page 26, and absorb it. Once ions of thallium are inside a person's body, they start taking the place of potassium ions found in every part of the body. However, they can't actually do the jobs potassium does in our bodies, so one by one the victim's organs stop working. Thallium has often been used as a poison and has also poisoned people by accident. Luckily, in the 1970s, a German pharmacologist discovered a surprising antidote: blue ink. Prussian blue dye contains potassium, and once it's inside a patient, it swaps its potassium for any thallium it finds. The thallium is then carried out of the patient's body. Thallium was once used mainly for its toxic properties, to make rat poisons and pesticides, hair removal creams, and medicines to kill fungi that cause skin infections. Today, these products are banned in most countries because thallium is just too toxic for humans. However, thallium can be used safely if it's trapped inside glass. Thallium is added to the glass used to make lenses for high-tech equipment and the glass used to make optical fibers, the thin glass tubes that carry information around the world and bring high-speed broadband to homes, schools, and offices. Although glass that contains thallium is safe to touch and use, thallium compounds can harm the workers who make these products, so they have to be used in very carefully controlled environments. Secret chemistry. Thallium sulfate is one of the most deadly thallium compounds. This substance has no smell, color, or taste, which makes it hard to detect. A typical 150-pound adult would be killed by eating just 700 milligrams, not even the weight of a jelly bean. You know, as I'm reading this, I think this book might be of use to those of you who decide to write detective novels when you're older. It reminds me of an Agatha Christie mystery where they try to decide what poison was used, who could have had access to it, and who the murderer might be. Over here we can see some forms and uses of thallium. Picture number 1 is a camera lens. Thallium is safe when it's incorporated into glass. It's important for making certain types of glass, such as the lenses in digital cameras. Thallium oxide and other thallium compounds are added to the glass to help it bend and focus light. Number 2, toxic element, our murder mystery here. Thallium is so toxic that just picking it up can be dangerous. It can get into a person's body through their skin. People who have picked up thallium compounds without wearing gloves have even lost their fingernails. Ugh. Automatic doors. Thallium sulfides are used to make photoelectric sensors that switch something on when a beam of light is interrupted. These are used in automatic taps and doors that open on their own when a person walks up to them. Contamination. Thallium can get into food through plants that are grown in soils that have been contaminated with thallium, such as the soil around coal-fired power stations. That's why food laws and safety checks are so important. This is interesting. If you decide to study environmental science, you might work, and I believe it's called environmental remediation. Please feel free to correct me if I've got that wrong, where you will be able to assist in cleaning up sites that have been contaminated by chemicals. So that sounds to me like it would be a really interesting job to have. So as we were reading, I saw a word in bold, ions, that I wasn't quite sure I understood. I think I know what an ion is, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know that I could necessarily explain it to you. But thankfully, our book comes with something called, let's find it in the back, a glossary. This is a great tool because it helps define words that we might not be familiar with or that we might have run into for the very first time in our book. So down here I see the word ion, an atom or molecule that has lost or gained electrons and now has an electrical charge. So I'm going to assume then that a thallium ion has either more or less than the 81 electrons that are shown in this diagram. I don't want to get too into ions. That's something, if you take a chemistry class, and I certainly hope that you do, you will learn about in great detail. But this book just kind of gives you an overview and introduces you to some of that terminology. So again, thank you for joining me for another adventure in nonfiction. I hope you've enjoyed dipping your toe, so to speak, into exploring the elements. Not all of the elements in this book are as poisonous as thallium. Let's see, for example, up here in the nonmetals we have hydrogen, which is the most common element in the universe. If you counted every atom in every galaxy, at least 3/4 would be atoms of hydrogen. We also have elements like nitrogen. It is the main gas in the air that we breathe. Carbon, the main building block of all living things. These are our nonmetals. And of course, oxygen, needed by most living things on Earth. So again, if you think you might want to study science when you get older, if you're interested in science now, or if you just want to learn fun facts to impress your friends, Exploring the Elements is a book that I would recommend to you. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again very soon.